So, all right. So today we're going to select one of three questions. You've got evaluate, synthesize, analyze at the top of your paper. With a partner, you are eventually going to create a final agreed upon answer that you both think is acceptable to the question. All right, so if Connor and I are partners and he starts out and he's got an answer that's way over here and my answer is way over here, we've got to do something to smush them together and come up with something we both think is right and we both agree on. All right? So, obviously you need your brain, your binder for any resources if you decide to use it, and an ability to work with another person. All right? If we get to the chance when we are finding partners and you don't have one yet, we can have a group of three if necessary, but it should not be needed. Okay? So let's look at the three questions. The first is the evaluated question. It says, how would you suggest that a religious figure from one of the three major religions use a modern or existing technology to expand their ideas or principles? So this question is asking you to pick one person, one of the people we've studied so far from one of the monotheistic religions, and tell how any technology that we have today would be useful for them to spread their religion. All right? So like, you could do, how would Jesus use Twitter? Or how would Moses use Instagram? Or how would Muhammad use text messaging? All right? Any modern technology, think about how would that person apply it. Okay? The second one, the synthesize it question says, how did the major ideas of Judaism influence Islam? So how did this very first monotheistic religion from 4,000 years ago influence a religion that started 1,400 years ago? All right, what are the connections between those two? How are the ideas of one seen in the other? And then the final one, an analyze it question. It says, analyze how the three religions are similar. What aspect or characteristic do all three share? So we want to think about, is there a list of things that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all have in common? All right, that's what you're going to try and analyze. You're going to try and pull pieces of information from all three religions and put it together into one final answer. Okay? Now, in that first space it says, use this space to reflect on and answer your selected question. So you're going to use that space to figure out what it is that you're going to write. Before you do that, you have to pick, do I want to answer analyze, synthesize, or evaluate? So, without secretly, telepathically telling your friend that you want to be partners with what you want to do, circle the question that you want to answer right now. Do I want to evaluate, synthesize, or analyze today? All right, anyone not decided yet? Okay, you're all torn up. Still thinking? Okay, so again, the top one, pick a person, pick a technology. How would they use it? The second one, think about the ideas of Judaism and how do you see them in Islam. So how did they transfer? Or how did Islam and that religion kind of use the ideas and the foundation of Judaism? And the final one, what do all three of them have in common? So if I'm making a triple Venn diagram, what's going to go in that middle circle? So, we're going to spend 4 minutes. In the first 4 minutes, you are going to think and write on your own. So you're going to construct a response in that first chunk of space on your own. You don't need to collaborate with anyone just yet. You need to start with your own foundation. This is what I think, and here's where I'm going to write it down. All right? The next step is then you're going to find someone who also answered your same question and start sharing answers, and I'll explain what that looks like in just a second. All right? So, any questions before we start with our first 4 minutes? Yeah, it's right here behind me. All right? All right, 4 minutes, think on your own. Analyze how the three religions are so. One that says analyze how the three religions are the same. So, this one. Guys, no matter what question you're answering, you're using that top space. It's your space to answer your question. That's why there aren't directions with that box. Yeah. So, if you're doing the evaluative one, you're going to pick one person. So, like Jesus, Moses, Abraham, Paul, and then you're going to pick one technology that exists today. What's like your favorite way to communicate with people? Okay. How would Jesus use a cell phone to communicate the ideas of Christianity? How would he help spread his religion using a cell phone if it was available? What? Okay. There you go. And give like reasons or examples why he would choose a cell phone maybe over another product. So like why would maybe Jesus want to use a cell phone instead of Facebook? Or why would he want to use Twitter instead of Instagram? Like maybe you can give some kind of a, he would use this because it's not this kind of thing. All right? Think about who he was, his style, his thoughts, things like that. You good?
I was just answering that.
Yeah. Like characteristics, what things do they have in common? And you pick it, I don't care. How would that help spread his religion though? Because that's one of the important parts. It would have helped him, but how does it help expand his religion? Yeah. Could be. How you got to think about how it's going to help expand your ideas. So who do you want to focus on? What person? Okay. Start with that. And you're going to use Jesus and what technology you think Jesus can use to expand his relationship. Okay. So now you're going to focus on how Jesus was Facebook. All right. Yes, please. What aspects of computing use. Okay, I popped into several people and some folks were super stuck. All right, and I think it's because it was like wide open for you. All right, so raise your hand if you were attempting to do the first one. You thought, I'm going to focus on evaluate it. Okay, so step one of evaluate it. You are supposed to identify a person, a religious leader. So Jesus, Moses, Paul, Abraham, any of those folks, Muhammad. All right, pick one of those people. Then it says, how would they use a modern or existing technology to expand their ideas? So, how would Jesus use Twitter? All right, so pretend that Twitter existed 2,000 years ago when Jesus was alive. How would he use it? All right, do you think Jesus would all be like, just had McDonald's with my BFF? No, like what would he put, or why would he use Twitter? Or, like I was telling Ashley, why would they choose one technology over another? Why would maybe Moses choose Instagram over Facebook? Or why would Muhammad choose radio over text messaging? All right, think about those aspects. If you're not super sure about, well, I know he would probably tweet these things, then maybe you could think about, okay, what was their style, what was their purpose, what was their final message? Which of these technologies might be the best to get it out there? All right? So I think we're caught up on what am I supposed to do? Well, I pick one person, and then I pick my favorite way to communicate, and I figure out how would they use that way of communicating 2,000 years ago. All right? You know, Matt had on his, Moses could use a GPS. Well, duh, that would have been awesome. Probably wouldn't have taken 40 years to get from Egypt back to Canaan had he done that. But it doesn't help expand his religion at all. Right? It's a technology that exists today that would have been helpful, but we need to figure out how it's going to help expand the religion. Okay? If you want to think about today, how do people expand religion today? Right? I drive to work this morning and I listen to Christmas music. Well, every time a Christmas song ends, I'm listening to the radio station with Star 93.3. They have a little like snippet of information about, you know, the Christian faith. So they are using radio as an outlet to spread the word of Christianity. All right? How would that have maybe looked thousands of years ago? Instead of Paul writing letters to the Romans, to the church at Ephesus, to the Philistines, how would that have looked if he had email? You know, he could have probably knocked out a couple more thousand people real quick if he had email or Facebook or something like that. Yeah?
Can you do something just really general, like a computer?
Sure.
So you could have Facebook and Twitter and all that?
You could. And then like someone in the other class tried to be super sneaky and they're like, well, they can use Twitter, but upload their tweets to Facebook because like you can do that. And so they were like trying to kill two birds with one stone. All right, Carlene.
Are you saying like say a cell phone or something was back in like the olden days?
Yeah, I'm saying take something we have today and throw it in the time machine to go back 2,000 years. How would they have used it to make their to spread their religion? All right. Now, did anyone choose synthesize? Lots of people skip this one. All right. How about the final one, the analyze? How do the three religions have something in common? A couple folks. Okay. This one requires that you think about what are the pieces and parts and ideas of Judaism, the pieces and parts of Christianity, and the pieces and parts of Islam. Where are their similarities? And you're going to pull out, like I said, pretend you're making a big triple Venn diagram. It's the stuff, Carly-Ann, that's going to go in that middle section. All right, so what's something we know all three religions have in common? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all have what? One thing in common.
They all have one God.
Okay, they all have one God. They're all monotheistic. So that would be a good start to your analyze it question. They're all monotheistic, and then you can move on from there. Okay? So, do you need like one more minute to kind of finalize, wrap up your answer? Cool. 1 minute, and then we'll explain the next step in the process. Okay. And I mean, instead of wasting 40 years with the same group of people, maybe you've got more people after this group of people. So what did you decide? Now you need to explain how you use it. Write it down. You might actually go beyond just the you need to show that you're thinking about it. Probably about 5 or 6 more things that they all have in common. Who is the important founder of all three positions? Who's like the guy from Mesopotamia that moved to Canaan? Yeah, that would be an important thing for all the religions. Sure. All right. Okay. So if we look now at the next section, it says, when I tell you to, you're going to find a partner who answered the same question as you. So if I have evaluated circled at the top of my paper and Paige also has evaluated circled at the top of her paper, she and I can be partners. All right? That smaller box is a place for me to summarize her answer. So if Paige and I meet, she's going to read me her answer, and I'm going to listen. And when I'm done listening, when she's done sharing her answer, I'm going to write kind of what I took away as the key points of her answer. This is what I think she's saying, and I'm going to write it down in that second box. When I'm done writing, I'm going to read my answer to Paige. She will do the same thing. She'll write down kind of a summary of my ideas in that middle box. Okay? From there, I'm going to give you the next set of instructions, because some of you will finish that faster than others. Go ahead and flip to the back. All right, you have a my ideas and my partner's ideas at the top. My ideas is just, again, taking your ideas, your answer, and this would be almost like the non-negotiable things. These are the things that Ashley absolutely wants to have in the final answer. And these are the things that Zach absolutely wants to have in the final answer. So then they're going to take Ashley's ideas and Zach's ideas, and they're going to have to somehow make them work in that third box, or on that back side, the third box that says our collective answer. So if we are in a group, and it's Matt, because I know his answer is Moses and GPS, and I have Moses and Twitter, all right? And he certainly wants to include the importance of the GPS and how that would have helped Moses, and I certainly want to include Twitter. We're going to have to come up with some way to put those two things together and talk about how that might work in favor of expanding the religion, all right? So, if there's something, maybe Sam and I are partners, and we're talking about analyze. I've got a fact that I think is common across all three religions, and he disagrees with that fact. We're going to have a serious conversation to figure out who is right and why that person is or is not right, all right, before we put it in the final answer. All right? Don't just automatically compromise if you know that what your partner has is way wrong. Now with the evaluate, it's very more creative, it's more open, it's kind of hard to come up with no, you're wrong for that. But if we've got something for analyze that's like, not happening, you've got to figure out how to make that work, okay? So, you're going to find a partner who answered the same question as you, summarize their response and your response, then flip to the back, decide, okay, this is what I certainly want to include in my answer, your partner says this is what I want to include in my answer, and then work together to create a collective answer. My answer should be exactly the same as my partner's, okay? It's not Carl and I are partners, we come up with his ideas, my ideas, and then our collective idea, or our collective answer does not match. Right? We have to have the same final answer. Yeah?
So, say we choose evaluate it, does that mean we have to have the same person? So then when we go to our collective idea, then how are we, like, our collective answer, how are we supposed to, create, like, a big idea of what you don't people?
Okay, so I have Muhammad, you have Jesus for that one. Maybe we both think the same type of communication would be used. Or maybe I think that Muhammad would use Facebook, you think Jesus would use text messaging or whatever. In our collective answer, we can address both of those things, and we could say we think Muhammad would use text messaging, or I'm sorry, Facebook because, you have to list them out, all right? We think that Jesus would use text messaging because of these reasons. All right, you can still, you're pulling them together. You don't necessarily have to like throw someone's completely out the window, but if I have Jesus and you have Jesus and you have Facebook and I have Twitter, then we're going to have a real conversation about which one do we think he might have used more. All right, you know, is he more into longer status updates as far as what's happening, what's going on, or is he more of the on-the-fly Twitter, like here's what's going on, keep moving kind of stuff. All right, which do you think maybe would be more aligned with his personality, his thoughts, things like that. Carly Ann.
What if you're on your paper and you did analyze? Like, say I just have analyze, and you had Muhammad and Moses. You could always just put, or like Muhammad and Jesus. You could always like put your ideas together and like say they were both prophets and they were both stuff like that.
Okay, are you talking for the evaluate or the analyze?
Analyze.
Okay. Well, that might come into a real conversation because, like, if I'm saying, you know, I think that all three religions have in common the fact that Muhammad was a prophet. Well, that's going to cause some problems maybe with my partner, who in their brain they're thinking, well, Muhammad's not a prophet in Judaism. So then that's where we're going to have a conversation and figure it out. Okay? When we're finding partners, someone please be kind to go to Carly Ann, that way she's not trying to crutch to you. Other than that, make sure you're being polite, finding your partner, and when you are all settled, I will start the timer for your sharing and summarizing. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think all three of you guys answered it.
Even the one big guy.
Did you evaluate? Yes. Okay. Except they're over like in the loop, so they have to use cumulative to sprint to have access. Alright, Jake. Yes. Yes. So listen to your group so that you know what to do, and then your summarizing is so you're going to take Sam and Connor's answers and write them down in your summarizing box,
Why is it you have the
Right here.
You're going to yes. So you're going to like listen to what he says and then write down his
I'm not doing the exact same. He came to Earth to forgive my sins.
Jake, stop.
I want the exact same.
All right, we have a little under a minute left to share and to summarize. You guys have like common answers? Okay, so in the summarize box then, so like when Jake shares his, when you guys can write down Jake's ideas, and then you share yours, Jake's, and then write it down. You know, kind of work around your trifecta here.
That is just for.
3, 2, 1.
All right. So, when we flip to the back then, my ideas, my partner's ideas. This is where you're going to now summarize your partner's writing, and you have shared with your partner your idea. So you're going to use those two boxes, almost like a funnel. So you're going to say, all right, here's what I want, here's what my partner wants. We need to funnel them together into one final answer down here. All right? It does look like a scary face. All right? Maybe angry eyebrows. There we go. Alright. So, he's got a nose. That's what the funnel is. So, we are going to take my ideas, my partner's ideas, and we're going to funnel them together into a final answer that they both have in common. Okay? No. Alright, so, he looks like... Who?
Looks like my brother Angrish. It looks like the angry Looks like
I don't know what it looks like, but anyhow, that's nice. Anyhow, so your ideas, your partner's ideas, When you finish doing that, then you can start deciding what is our final answer going to sound like. Now, because you have thought about it in so many different steps, I thought by myself, well first, I got to choose the question I answer, then I thought by myself, then I listened to my partner, then we write a final answer. Guess what? You better sound smart when you write your collective answer. Alright? You've had 3 different phases of thinking to create a final answer. So, like I said, you gotta sound smart when you do it. Alright? You can't do any of this like, you use Facebook 'cause. Not enough. Alright? You need to show that you actually thought and that you actually developed an answer. Okay? So we'll do 5 minutes and then we're going to start sharing our answers. Go.
What's your
The Jewish people. Oh yeah, we keep the thing about the phone because I want to do the Facebook one. That
We
one's
can
like
do
better.
phone and Facebook because you can
Get on Facebook.
post the thing on
Yeah, but I'm saying they all have like they all
Like wandering, you should just like set up camp right there. Forget about problem.
what happened? Judaism is only. Oh, you were looking for the.
How was the word?
Okay.
How was the word?
having Facebook
Because
like
has,
page.
has, I just want to know. How is the movement right now? Or how is the word right now starting?
They both have rules they follow.
We don't really have to do those because you can put like Jesus name on Facebook ad page
They all go.
That's basically what I want.
They're all monitored.
Well, we can collide
Yes.
three
She's saying
things
follow.
into one because that's and so we can say
So like I would assume Abraham and Moses
Maybe since you feel that Facebook and comment Facebook, to figure out how to use it. So you could maybe say,
like in
send those
Yeah.
It was.
And that the world can
Moses would use it for exposing So instead of trying to tackle all of those at once, just focus on Facebook and talk about how you guys use Facebook. You don't know what to do. Wasn't my beautiful photo picture or something? And think about how would he use that then? Like what would be the purpose of that? Yeah.
we basically have to say things so like we have
Okay, so then you have a same final answer.
so we just write down the
You come up with what you both agree on as your final answer. Alright? Alright, 1 minute.
and then
access to God.
like the YouTube things where
Where he has Facebook page that has all about his religion and beliefs.
He can make a Facebook
Some of the others.
Put all his
Hey,
about he can put about his religion and all his
Here's the thing that you can do, right? So maybe he's posting on Facebook. Okay, are there any groups that need another minute to, perfect. I'm not giving you 5 more, we'll do 2. You can do that now. And then the bottom one, make sure the We're here to please. Where are you headed? Where are you headed? I think that Brittany can probably reach one very quickly. How come you didn't have crutches yesterday, but you had one last night today?
You know what would be another something that he can put videos, we can use his phone
Yes, like you're saying that he could use his phone and record him like one day. Yeah, and also take pictures and put them on his Facebook page for others to see. Then, but after that, we should also include that if someone likes, subscribes, or shares his page, that they agree with his religion.
Okay, what religious do you think is Yes, that would be the important thing, because he's not going to, I would use this. All right. So let's look now at a couple answers. All right, we're probably not going to take time for every single group to share, but we will get some. Sorry, I'll wait for you guys. All right, we're going to let a couple groups share, and then you have a kind of a continuum there at the next slot on your paper. It says rate your level of confidence, and it says with religious diffusion, but more of with the question that you answered, or with other people's versions of the question that you answered. And then you have another space down at the very bottom. Right? That space is created for you to jot down ideas or thoughts of other groups that you think, or maybe you would like to have included in your answer. All right, so if you hear something that you think is just really cool that maybe you didn't think of, that's where you're going to write it down. All right, you're taking from what other people are sharing and adding it to your own thoughts and your own opinions. Okay, we have a brave group number 1 today. Jordan. All right, listen to Jordan, loud and clear.
I think Jesus should use a 4G smartphone so he could call, text, and access the internet so he could tell about Facebook.
Okay, so 4G cell phone to call, text, and what?
Access the internet to tell about Facebook.
Okay, which of those, because you gave like a big giant example of phone for all these different little things, which of those do you think maybe would be his preferred method of communicating?
Texting because it's the fastest source of communication.
Okay.
And
So,
using the internet.
All right. So maybe texting, you don't need internet access. So here we are, 2,000 years ago. I'm sure cell reception is not the greatest thing ever, and so you're gonna have to rely on text messaging and maybe do that like goofy thing where you wave your phone up in the air until it gets signal or something like that. All right. Yes, sir, Ethan. Hold on.
Excuse this interruption, please, but would Alexis Wilson come to the main office? Alexis Wilson to the main office. Thank you.
All right, Ethan.
Jesus would use a computer over anything so he could share knowledge about God faster than any other way of communication. The computer includes Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and advertising.
Okay. So you did kind of like a Jordan route. You're going to take a big overarching technology and smush a bunch of little things into it. All right. Which one? Yeah, except you don't have to do the wavy thing. Which of those parts of a computer do you think Jesus would rely on the most?
Probably maybe advertisements if it popped up on the home screen.
Because it could go on anywhere. Like, if you went to any website, most websites have advertisements. So if you went anywhere, you would see it, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, I'll go to that Facebook page or Twitter page.
Okay.
Or YouTube or whatever.
So I would maybe then throw back at you a challenge of what about Jesus that you know from either your own knowledge or from what we talked about in class would make you think that he's the type of person that would be all like in your face, like, look at me, check out all the awesome things that I do. Does that seem like something Jesus...
He's sharing knowledge about God faster than you would tell an individual.
Okay, right, it's going to accomplish the goal faster, but if we're looking at like the personality style maybe, or the thought process maybe, Jesus does not strike us as being that like in-your-face kind of person, all right? He, from what we saw in the history of what Christians believe, it was more of a, he steps in and does stuff, but he's not like, hey everybody! He doesn't do that. That's not his style. So maybe advertising wouldn't be the best mode of communication for him. I get it that it gets the message out there quickly, but it might not fit his particular style. All right? Alex. Sure, your collective answer.
Martin and I decided that Jesus could use a cell phone to access things. He could make his Facebook web page and put his religion in it. He can also spread the word of God, making sections. Jesus can use his phone to record him speaking and post it on Facebook. If someone likes and subscribe or share his page, that means that they agree with his religion and beliefs.
Okay. So they took the route, again, a cell phone, and one of the things that they said that was new to this whole, answer system here, is they said he could videotape what he's doing and upload that to Facebook. All right? Again, maybe you and Ethan can have a conversation about this to see, because I took Ethan's idea, I'm like, rah, no commercials, and I didn't give Ethan a chance to defend himself. So what do you think about her idea of videotaping the things that he's done and uploading that to Facebook?
That's kind of what I thought about YouTube too.
Okay. Okay.
I think the advertisements would be about God instead of about him showing his face.
Okay.
But if he videotaped himself, that would be more, hey, on your face, hey.
Okay. So Joel's maybe thinking that the advertisements would have been more like God-centered. Like, here's this like one God monotheistic idea, and then the other things that are happening are going to be more mellow maybe. All right. Who did the analyze question? Because we've gotten a lot of evaluate questions here. All right, so Carly and Carl did the analyze question. Let's listen to what all three religions have in common. Be ready to agree, disagree, or add to their answer.
We said, sir. We said they believe in one God, they're monotheistic. They both have rules they follow, but not the same rules.
And Jesus, Abraham, and Moses were all prophets.
Okay. So let's go back through it one more time for us so that we can really kind of keep a running tally in our brains. The first thing they all have in common, all three.
They believe in one God.
Okay. Are we okay with they all believe in one God?
Yeah.
Cool. Next that you say they all have.
They both have rules, but they don't follow each other's rules. But they have
They don't
laws
have
and rules.
Okay. So they all have some form of rules.
And Jesus, Abraham, Moses, and Moses are prophets.
Okay. So what do we want to add to, subtract from, change in their answer to kind of expand on it? Zach, did you have your hand up to add to, subtract, no? Just checking out here. Ethan.
The second one, you said the rules. They did sort of have the same, like they all have the 10 Commandments, but then some of them had additional rules to them. Not that they were all different, they just had additional rules to the 10 Commandments.
I know that like they the pillars, the 5 pillars,
That's
those
just
are the same
additional,
rules as the 10.
but that's additional to the 10 Commandments. They all had the 10 Commandments.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
They all had the 10 Commandments, and then the addition was
So-
the 5 pillars for the eating stuff for all that.
So what do you suggest of us putting instead of but not tables? What do you suggest of us?
I would say they all have like the 10 Commandments, but then they've got additional rules to them. That's just my opinion.
All right, that got a couple more hands to go up. Karen, what were you?
I was gonna say that, I think it was the last one we said about the 3 prophets. Well, it's not really like defending it, but it's changing it a little because the 3 prophets are in each religion, but they're the main prophets in each religion. Because Muhammad's only added in Muslims' religions.
Okay.
So they're the 3 main prophets.
Okay. So maybe quantifying it instead of just saying that they were prophets, they were like,
Yeah,
okay.
they're 3 main prophets that everybody knows.
Okay. Jordan?
I have something to go along with like what Ethan said. The rules thing was just pretty general. You could put like the specific rules that they all have. Like they all have the 10 Commandments, they all have blah 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 blah.
Okay, well we just put the additional. They also have additional rules, but they also include the 10.